comic book fans, and welcome to Cammy's Comic Corner. I'm your host, as always, Cammy. Now, we had a lot of good books out this week, so let's get right into it. Now, for the pick of the week, I thought it wouldn't happen, but guess what? It happened. From DC Comics, we have Final Crisis Requiem #1, written by Peter J. Tomasi and art by Doug Mahnke. Now, the reason I thought it would never happen is it was all about the Martian Manhunter, John Jones. My previous history involving Martian Manhunter has been, I always thought the character was kind of useless. He'd always, show him some fire, he'd freak out, and, oh, look, he's down and out. Big deal. After reading this, I was on the verge of tears. Peter J. Tomasi is one of my favorite new writers, along with Jason Aaron, who we'll see more in the episode, this year. The stuff he's been doing on Green Lantern Corps, Nightwing, and now Final Crisis Requiem, it's just amazing. So let's get into the story. It shows that, if you haven't read Final Crisis #1, basically Martian Manhunter died. He was stabbed to death by a flaming spear by the new villain Libra, who's been trying to organize all the criminals to come together as one. Evil wins the day, that's the whole thing. So, in this issue, we see his last moments before he gets stabbed to death, and what he tries to deploy. He tries to deploy images throughout everyone's mind of the Justice League breaking in and saving him, and all the villains are going insane because, like, oh no, Superman's here, oh no, Captain Marvel's here, but it's all a hoax. Libra encourages him, like, no, it's all in your mind. That's only his last bit of strength. Let me just twist the spear a little bit more and kill him for good. And what happens afterwards is we get a little history, some highlights of all the things that Martian Manhunter did in the past, what his teammates had to say about him. And with his final telepathy, he transmits his story and the history of Mars to his handful of friends, like Black Canary, Green Lantern, Superman, all those people, to remember his legacy and let it live on. So after transporting a pyramid onto Mars and his body, they have the funeral, and the thing that almost made me cry manly tears was when Batman took his favorite cookie, the Choco, or the Chocho, however you pronounce it, and slipped it right on his case. I'm about to cry now. It was amazing. I can't remember the last time a comic book made me go on the verge of tears because the writing was that powerful. So bravo, Mr. Tomasi. You keep on amazing me more and more with every single issue you're on. So go out and get Final Crisis Requiem #1. Even if you're not a John Jones Martian Manhunter fan, you won't be a bit disappointed. Now, on to the Fast Five. First up from Marvel, we have Captain America White #0. Now, Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb are back. If you like their Daredevil Yellow, if you liked Hulk Gray, if you like Spider-Man Blue, you're probably going to like Captain America White. Even though it's a #0 issue, we get the backstory of how Bucky and Steve Rogers were friends. Bucky finds out that Steve Rogers is Captain America, says, hey, I want to be your sidekick. The president even says, hey, that'll be good to boost morale and get kids to join up for the war when they grow older. And basically get their first mission in Germany. After a few fighting, Steve is really nervous and says, hey, this isn't the movies, you gotta, be disciplined in your actions. And basically it's being told throughout Steve Rogers' thoughts. How he says how he wished he could have saved Bucky. Which means Bucky's going to die at the end of this. But we all know what happens to Bucky if you're into 616 continuity. Next up, from DC, we have Green Arrow, Black Canary #10. The previous issues, Speedy and Dodger were after the League of Assassins. League of Assassins found them. And now in this issue, when all hope is lost for Speedy, Green Arrow and Black Canary come in with the cavalry, which is Plastic Man and Batman. After a huge little battle, because it happens, after a huge little battle with beautiful Mike Norton pencils, the whole thing's resolved. The League of Assassins, turns out they're not actually a League of Assassins. Batman goes, is this the guy you were talking to? Shows a picture of Ra's al Ghul. They go, yeah, that's him. We talked to him just mere days ago. Batman goes, guess what? That wasn't Ra's al Ghul, because Ra's al Ghul's in Arkham Asylum. So, whoever told you this, you're not really a League of Assassins. Which means whoever is impersonating Ra's al Ghul, a Skrull maybe? Whoever it is, they wanted Connor dead for some reason. And hopefully next issue we're going to find out who wanted Connor dead. Next up from Dark Horse Entertainment, we have the Goon #26. In the previous issue, we found out Labragio was back and was forming a little posse. Well, it turns out in this issue, him and his little gang, posse, what have you, strike against Goon's forces first, putting a couple of Goon's buddies in the hospital. One dies, one is able to survive and tells them, well, he doesn't tell them, but the Goon gets the kids to go find out who told them, who tipped off Labragio. That sounded confusing, don't worry. It was kind of confusing for me too. Turns out Merle was the one, he's the werewolf, who sold out the Goon and his pals. Well, before the Goon kills him with the silver bullet, because that's how you kill a werewolf, he tortures him pretty much to death until he's on the brink of saying, please just kill me. Very bloody, action-packed issue. The gang wars have started, and tune in for next issue for the resolution. Next up from DC Comics, we have Joker's Asylum presents The Penguin #1, written by Jason Aaron. Anything this guy's on, I will buy. You have that in writing. You just can't see the writing. But anyway, we find out the birth of the Penguin and how he became so, well, evil. And as it turns out, it was girls in high school making fun of him. Hear that, girls? You don't make fun of guys, no matter how geeky they are in high school, or else we might be turned supervillains someday and sick birds on you. That's what he pretty much does. There's a little love story about how he found this woman being sold on the black market. He takes her in, and this is the first woman who actually cares about him. Not because of his money, not because of his power, but thank you for saving my life. And he's in love with her. He's honestly in love with her. But then she finds out that he's been killing people, not directly, but indirectly, by making their lives miserable, and she thinks he's a monster, and sees him for the monster he really is. Turns out in the end, Penguin says, that's just, your opinion. I guess we just have to split ways, part our ways, and I wish you have a good life. As he leaves her back in the black market, in the cage that he found her in. Brutal, and that's why you don't piss off the Penguin. Or geeks in high school, you girls listening! I just have some issues I need to get out. And finally, from Marvel this week, we have the Invincible Iron Man #3. The previous issue, Tony Stark is in a little party in China, and the building blows up as Ezekiel Stane, Obadiah Stane's child, who's been wanting a vengeance on Tony Stark since he was 5 years old, enters the playing field, blows up the building. Pepper Potts barely survives. Iron Man takes her to a hospital. They say, hey, we got to keep these pieces of scrap metal back somehow. And what's Tony Stark say? He says, hey, I was there. Pepper, do you want this ring inside your body to keep the metal away until you eventually heal? And so it's kind of like a little Iron Woman. And it's just kind of a aw moment because now, she's Iron Man too. And I don't know if Matt Fraction has something planned for Pepper Potts in the future. Like Tony's dies from Secret Invasion or something, and Pepper Potts takes on the Iron Man mantle. But I thought it was really fun and ingenious to see this. Well, that does it for Cammy's Comic Corner this week. If you want to be our friend, go to myspace.com/Cammy's Comic Corner. From there, you can click underneath that banner to subscribe to the RSS feed or subscribe to us on iTunes. I'm working on a website, so, if you're tired of the MySpace, don't worry. In a few months, hopefully, it'll happen. Well, that's it for Cammy's Comic Corner this week. I'm Cammy, and I hope you all have a wonderful, great, exciting week.